Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel.
Hey there, comic fam. Bullseye Bob here, and welcome to Everything Comics. And you've stumbled on to the 35th episode of Having Comics with My Coffee. It's the show where I get together with you in a local coffee shop, drink some great coffee, and I talk about the comics I picked up on New Comic Book Day, which happened this last August 12th on Wednesday. Missed you guys last week. There was some things I had to do, so we took a break. I know Bueller took a break as well, and I really missed doing a show last week because there was a lot of great comics. That issue of Ice Cream Man was amazing. Deceased Dead Planet, oh my gosh. Elongated Man at the end, oh, I was devastated. Anyway, didn't get to do a review show, so I'm really glad to be back here today. And as you can see, I'm back live and in living color from the Refuge Coffee House right here at 9217 Southeast Foster Road, right here in Portland. It is one of my favorite coffee shops. It is the official coffee house of Everything Comics. And they're so gracious to let me come in here and film the show and let us hang out here. And so I'd like to go ahead and support them if I can. Do me a favor, down in the description is a link to their website. Go check them out. They've got coffee, they've got swag, they got hats and shirts and hoodies and all kinds of stuff. And if you make a purchase, it goes towards keeping the lights on here. And I'd really love to support these guys because it's really, really tough right now. With the COVID restrictions still in place. So if you guys do that, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, let's get on to our announcements. And before I do that, you'll see a timestamp on the screen. So if you want to skip the announcements and go straight to the reviews, you can do so. But here's our first announcement. Having Comics with My Coffee, I'm going to have an official time from now on. Going forward, this show will drop at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings, Pacific Standard Time. 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday mornings. That way, it's consistent. And no more trying to edit the video and at some point during Saturday it'll drop. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Bueller had that suggestion. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. And so that's going forward. You can go ahead and expect the show to drop 9 a.m. Sunday mornings. Next announcement is this last week I did an unboxing video. It's not a long video. It's short. I think it's close to 30 minutes. That's it. And I got a CGC slab. There was an AOK inside of there, and then there was a purchase that I made from a good friend of the show. Old comic smell, and I bought one of my grails. I mean, it's not the grail, but it is a grail, and I was just so happy to have this book in my collection. I'm not going to tell you what it is here. You go check it out because I had so much fun opening it up, and I like doing these unboxing videos. I'll have a few more coming up. I got a bunch of stuff coming back from CGC, but it's already there. Check it out. It was a lot of fun. And last but not least, you guys know I am on another show. That's right. I am on the Comics with Bueller channel with my good buddy Bueller, and we do the new Coffee and Comic Show, which drops every morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this week we will be back in full swing, and it's going to be an awesome time. We have a new studio, we have a new format, and you don't want to miss it. So if you don't know about that show, every Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, Bueller drops his preview video. It is the most watched preview video on YouTube. And you should check it out. It shows you all the comic books that are coming out the following week. But on that video, he poses a question, which with you can leave comments and give your answers or your discussion about what you think about that particular question. And then we use your comments to drive our conversation on the new Coffee and Comic Show. And so go check out this last week's preview video on his channel, because this week's question is a pretty cool one. It's how do you protect your comics? It's not like a in-depth, like back and forth argument or anything like that. It just deals with how do you protect your comics. Do you use backer boards? Do you use just bags? Do you use Mylar? Do you use, there's so many different ways to be able to protect your comics. Let us know how you do it, because we have some things that we are going to show you on that show, and it's going to be an awesome time. You don't want to miss it. 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time this Monday. Be there, be square, folks. So before we get into reviews, you know we always start off with our cover of the week, and this week's cover of the week is sponsored by TKO Studios, partner of the show. Check this out. Hey there, folks. Thanks for tuning in this morning. I hope you're enjoying the comics that you're having with your coffee. I know that I am. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about something really quick. I like new comics. I know you like new comics. And over at TKO Studios right now, they're putting out a lot of great stuff. They're a partner of the show, and they've sent me some stuff to check out, and I've really been enjoying what I've seen so far. This book, Sarah, this is a very popular book. I know a lot of people know about it. It's in its third printing already. A couple of weeks ago, I had Damien, Sleepy Reader 666, on the show. He said it was the best war comic he's ever read, and I'd have to agree. I'm about halfway through it. I'll probably drop a full review on the channel about it because it's really good. But this is just one of the things that they have there. They also have stuff by Jeff Lemire. They have this book called, this series called Sentient. Now, the thing about TKO that's kind of unique is that when they come out with a story or they come out with a comic book, you don't have to wait month to month for it. They bring it all out at once and just drop it. So inside of this dust cover is all 6 issues of the series, and they put it out like this inside of one of these nice dust covers, or they'll put it out in the trade paperback. So you have a choice of whatever your flavor you like. But the stuff that they're putting out is really quality. It's really good. I will say that the actual size of the comic books are a little bit larger than your normal comic book format. That's okay. These look really nice on the bookshelf. But here's the thing, guys. If you go over to their website, there'll be a link down below in the description, and you see something that you like over there, enter the code Everything20 at checkout, and you'll get 20% off your first purchase. How can you beat that? New comics, 20% off, and like I said, they're putting out a lot of great stuff right now. They've sent me other stuff that I haven't read yet, like The Banks, and then this other series called The 7 Deadly Sins. I can't wait to get into this stuff. Anyway, guys, go check out TKO. They're a sponsor of the show, and you can get 20% off some comics. How can you beat that? And so now, without further ado, this week's cover of the week is Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 3. And what I'm talking about is the variant by Federico Federici. I just love this variant for many different reasons, but I'll tell you the main reason I love it is because it's going to go looking very nice right alongside the variant that he did for the Batman Who Laughs. I think they kind of go together. I'm going to put both of them on the screen just for a second here so you can see what I'm talking about. But other than that, I just think this is an amazing picture of the new character, the Robin King. Now, I'm not all hyped up, on this being a major character. I think he's a great side character. I got to read him inside of the book this week, and I loved just how impish he was. But I like the design of the character. But I think this particular cover, it struck the way the Batman Who Laughs cover he did the same to me. And so there it is in all its glory. Dark Knight's Death Metal number 3, the variant by Federico Federici. So let's get on to our reviews. And our first book this week is Venom number 27 by Marvel Comics. This one is written by Donny Cates, and the art is by Juan Gedeon. This book was absolutely crazy. So last issue, of course, we had Eddie trying to get Dylan to safety in the wake of everything that happened on Venom Island, and he takes him to, of all places, the Maker. And while he's there, this villain shows up, Virus, and all hell breaks loose. Now, a lot of people think they know who Virus is. There's some hints, I think, based on the artwork that we've seen, but nobody really knows for sure yet. But anyway, Virus attacks, an explosion happens, and it activates one of the Maker's dimensional machines. A dimensional door opens, and whammo, they're in a different dimension. So that's where we start off inside of this book. And immediately, when they're in this dimension, here comes Virus, and the action is on. There's a great fight that happens. Some of the dynamics of the artwork inside of there I'll talk about in a few minutes, but the action scenes were amazing. And then we get some pretty crazy stuff happening. We have the Avengers in this dimension show up, and they're Venomized Avengers, which is pretty crazy. And then in the end, we get this character showing up that looks amazing, and Eddie thinks that it's Flash Thompson. And we get the reveal at the end. It's not Flash. But I think you'll be very surprised at who it is. Definitely pick this one up and check it out for yourself. I will say that the writing was very well inside of this. I love Donny Cates' flow. I mean, there's nothing that's major inside of this book, but it was a really fun read. I will say that the artwork, not as good as Bagley's stuff. I think that there was some pieces of it that felt frenetic and rushed. But I got to tell you, the way Gideon draws action is top notch. His panel work and the way the action jumps off the page at you, very, very well done. But like I said, there's some like rushed freneticness to it that didn't sit well with me. Let me know what you think about that. But anyway, Venom 27 this week, awesome. I know we're leading up into Null coming. I can't wait to see where this goes and how it plays out. But it's been a lot of fun reading Venom so far. So on to our next book, and we got Detective Comics number 1025 by DC Comics. This one is written by Peter J. Tomasi, art by Kenneth Roquefort, and colors by Dan Brown. And I'll just tell you, when I mentioned the colors in the book, they were amazing. Dan Brown, love his stuff, and they did just a phenomenal job in pairing up Roquefort with this guy because the colors really were dynamic inside of this book. So definitely look out for that. So first of all, I just want to say I think that they did the right thing in titling this book Tales from the Joker War, kind of like they did with Tales from the Dark Multiverse, because it kind of feels like a sideline story that's not actually connected, because it's not. It's not actually fully connected to the Joker War. It's loosely connected. Batman can't be in all places at once, but they're going to use their mainstream character however they can. And so, anyway, still good. Still tied enough so that it feels like a good tie-in, but that's where we're at. So basically we start off this book with the one up, and what I mean by that is we get the Gotham police are being bombarded by mortars from Joker's clown henchmen, and we start to figure out really quickly that the Joker has paid for high-tech weaponry for his goons to use out of Bruce's money. He's spending it all, man. He's spending it on the toys. And so we get this scene where they're pinned down and they can't go anywhere. And then here comes the one-up. Here comes Batwoman. And she kind of saves the day. And then it starts to get crazy again. And then, boom, Batman shows up and one's up again. And so that, him coming on the scene is pretty cool. And then, boom, we have another one-up with even higher tech weaponry from the Joker in Batwings that are made up like big smiles coming down. Then they're drones. So basically the rest of the book is them knowing that they have to get to Wayne Enterprises where they're 3D printing these weapons and get rid of those 3D printers. The book is a lot of fun. The pace of it is really well done. I really enjoyed Tomasi's writing inside of this. Like I said, it does feel a little more connected to the overall narrative of the Joker War, but it's not, because we know that in the main title, Batman is over at the theater that the Joker has basically placed to get ready for him, and he couldn't be at the theater and over here at Wayne Enterprises at the same time. It just doesn't make sense that way. But there's enough tie-in to the Lucius Fox storyline and what's going on there. And so, anyway, I really enjoyed it. It doesn't really take away from the book. It's just a pet peeve that I have in the way they do their tie-ins. And but definitely check this one out. Like I said, Roquefort's line work is really well done. The colors are amazing, and overall, it is such a fun read. So I've been saying this a lot lately. It is a great time to be in comic books. This week, so many great comics came out, and I've just been loving it. So let's go ahead and get on to our next book, and it's Alienated 3 by Boom Studios. This one written by Simon Spurrier and the art by Chris Wildgoose. Now, it feels weird not having this be the pick of the week. The last 2 months when this book came out, it was by far the cream of the crop. And this book, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a very, very solid read. It just didn't make pick of the week this week. I'm just saying it's kind of weird that it didn't. Anyway, the last 2 books were just absolutely amazing. And I think Simon Spurrier is doing an amazing job writing this book. Boom Studios is killing it, as you'll see today, because they have got so many books that came out this week that were amazing. But so far, inside of this book, the last 2 issues, we had 2 of our Sams. We had Samantha and Samir, basically in their own way using Chip, the alien who's kind of alienated them with this power that he's given them. And so we had each of them using him in their own way, and in using him, they kind of hurt him, taking him on the journey with them. And now we get the third Sam in the group, Sam himself, and he's going to do basically the same thing. He's going to use Chip for his own purposes, and of course Chip gets hurt even more inside of this book. I think we're finally getting to the culmination of what's actually going to happen. Samir actually becomes very remorseful over how he treated Chip and all the things that they've done up until this particular point, and he wants to make things right. And that's going to cause all kinds of problems. And I'm just going to leave it at that, because if I say too much, it's going to give away the story. The story has been amazing. If you haven't been on this book, figure out a way to pick up the first 4 comic books, because I'm telling you right now, this has been an amazing ride, and you don't want to miss out on it. The artwork is really well done. The way Spurrier has wrote the story, it is so heartful. It is so, it connects to the soul very quickly, and because it deals with issues of the heart. It also deals with that uncomfortableness of feeling apart from people, feeling alienated, even in your own skin. Besides, the science fiction part of it, which is kind of a play on it as well, the actual understanding of being alienated in society. I mean, I think most of us feel that way sometimes, and he really brings that out well. And so I would say that this is one of those books that I think by the end of the year, if issue 6 holds up even half of what it has been, then I think this will be definitely one of the top picks of the year. I'll agree with Robbie on that. And but anyway, got to pick up next issue. I don't want to say anything else because I'll spoil it. But Alienated has been an amazing book, and I love what Boom Studios is doing. And speaking about Boom Studios, our next book on the list is The Red Mother #7 by Boom Studios. And of course, this was written by Jeremy Hahn and the art by Danny Luckert. And so as good as this book is, let me just talk about that for a second. I have loved this story so far. It's been fantastic. The art has been fantastic. And this issue is one of the more cleaner issues, and it's probably one of my more favorite issues in the series yet. The suspense, the mystery has been just a lot of fun. And there's not much that I've ever had to say negative about this book, but let me talk about one thing that you'll hear people say. It's a slow burn. And it is. It does crawl, but I think that adds to the story. It builds up suspense in ways that it needs to, and I really like that. And maybe I'm nitpicking, but there's some things that happen inside of this book that I didn't quite like, and I'm hoping that it's not a systemic issue that'll be ongoing. In trying to create a slow burn, I noticed some things that the writer and artist did that were arbitrary. I don't need to see 2 hands shaking. I don't need to see a little chuckle between 2 people when it has nothing to do with the story. Let me give you an example. When you go watch a movie, when you walk into a room, or when the camera pans into a room, if it zooms in on a phone, you know that phone's going to play a part of that story. It's showing you something that you need to keep in mind. And when you're reading a comic book, it's a visual medium as well. If it's going to hone in on that handshake has to mean something. It has to be part of the story. It's telling you need to see this handshake because it's important. If there's a payoff later on, I'll eat my words, but I don't think there's going to be a payoff on this. I think it's an arbitrary thing, and I think it felt like they were putting things in to kind of draw it out, and that part I didn't like. Use your writing skills and ability to keep the story flowing at a slow pace without having to put arbitrary things in like that because they're unnecessary. That's just a rant. That's something. But other than that, this is an amazing book. We get so much more inside of the story. Of course, our main character has moved. And then the second story arc, she's dealing with her new life. We find out that she's still having visions into this red realm, and we know that something is coming after her. It's been coming for a long time. My bet is that it's her boyfriend that's been missing for a while. I think that's the next piece that's coming after her. But it's still creepy. It's still very suspenseful. I think it's masterful in the way that it's being done, except for those little arbitrary things that were unnecessary. But other than that, it's just an amazing read. I love what Boom Studios is doing. And The Red Mother, I think, is going to be great if it keeps on being an ongoing story, because I love the little bits and pieces we're getting along the way. and they keep building the creepiness of it the way that they are. I am still on board. I'm digging it. So there it is, Red Mother #7 from Boom Studios. Check it out. How you doing there? Next up, we have Stealth #4 from Image Comics. This one's written by Mike Costa and the art by Nate Belgrade. Here we go. We are on issue 4, and I've really been enjoying this story. Granted, I will say the same thing that I said last month. I'm not crazy about the artwork. There's some inconsistencies there. There's parts of it that feel like amateur, kind of underground, but then there's other parts of it that are very well done and dynamic. And so, that's the only thing I can really ding about the book. But having said that, the book is really well written. I've really been enjoying it. And the premise of the story revolves around a superhero that has an alien suit. And we find out that the hero has dementia. He's losing his memories, which is a really great concept. I really dig it. Last issue we had kind of a villain show up, and so that's where we start this book off with this villain coming after him. And I think the very first page was one of my favorite pages of the book, because there's this thing where he's at a safe house that he knows from his past, and somebody shows up at the door. And you can see the image of him in civilian clothes inside of a room looking at somebody that I think is his brother. And so he's having this conversation, and then you see this slow fade into the fact that he's in the armor inside of this house. The house is dilapidated, so whatever he's seeing was in the past, and the person at the door is one of the villain's henchmen. And so his reality is skewed. And I think that was one of the best things about this book. We got to see the battle in his mind to hold on to what's real, what's not, and that was very, very well done. Again, great concept to have your main character have dementia, but the way they played it out in this book was something that I think I wasn't expecting, and it really surprised me, and I loved it. So we get some great action, and the villain, of course, Stealth, he gets away from them, and the chase is on, and we get some little bit of history into who this villain is. We also get the main character, Stealth, his son, is trying to unravel what's been going on with his dad. The suit is alien or magical in nature, and I believe what he's coming to figure out is that the suit may be the very thing that's giving him the dementia. And so he's trying to figure out, how he got the suit and how to help his dad out. That's some really cool stuff, kind of like old spy work type stuff. Anyway, it's a fun read. I've been enjoying the book so far. I think this was my favorite issue so far, and I can't wait to see where they go with it next. I think it's only supposed to be a 5-issue series. I hope not. I hope it's a 6-issue series. I'd really hate to see it end just the next issue, but it's been an amazing read so far. I'm digging it. So on to our next book, and next one we have Old Haunts #3 by AWA Upshot. This one is written by Rob Williams and Ollie Masters, and the art is by Lawrence Campbell. Wow, lots of great books this week. Have I said that it's a great time to be into comic books? Folks, it's a great time to be into comic books right now. I'm loving this. So the AWA stuff has been really enjoyable so far, and I'm really liking what they're putting out. I still think Year Zero is their best book, but with this issue of Old Haunts, I think it propels it right up there, because this book was amazing. The premise of the story is we have 3 mobsters who have been together pretty much since childhood, and they've got to the place where they ran the city. Now they're in their later years, and what they're trying to do is sell everything off, go legit, and retire and enjoy their retirement with the spoils of what they picked up along the way. And what we find is the people that they've killed up until this point have something to say about that, and they're coming back as ghosts to haunt them and causing a lot of trouble. So the 3 are basically trying to broker a deal to turn everything over to a younger gangster who's going to basically run everything. And we have, in the midst of this deal, one of the haunts kind of messes things up, and then everything just breaks loose. The frenetic craziness that goes on when things go off the rails and don't go as planned is really well done inside of this. You pick up the tension, you pick up the how things can just keep going wrong once they start to go off on a tangent. It's just a lot of fun to see how this is playing out. This one really played out, panel-wise, like a good crime drama book should be. The artwork and the way the layouts are done inside of this book are phenomenal. I really, really had a great time just reading this book and then going back and just looking at the great artwork in this book. It is definitely something you should check out. So basically at the end of the book, we got the end result. This young gangster is going to come after them now because they messed up the deal. Well, the haunt did, but anyway. And so he's coming after them. Can't wait to see where they go with it next. This is definitely, we're only on the third issue. This is definitely one you should be picking up. Like I said, I'm really enjoying this. And next we have Flash, number 759. Of course, that's by DC Comics. This is written by Joshua Williamson, and I have the art by Otto Schmidt. I don't know why that doesn't seem right. Maybe it is, I don't know. Anyway, artwork was really good inside of this book. But man, I am going to be so sad to see Williamson go on this title. We are getting to the end, and I've just been enjoying it so much. I've loved the ride, and I know we're getting a new writer. I don't know, how that's going to go, but this is definitely going to go down in history as one of my favorite runs in DC Comics, because it's just been a lot of fun. So we're getting to the end. We're picking up where we left off in the last book. The Legion of Zoom had Barry down on his knees, and Reverse Flash comes, Ebarthon, and basically possesses Barry, knocks him out of his body, sends him to somewhere we don't know. And Reverse Flash gets what he's always wanted, the desire of his heart to become the Flash. Now we find out that Barry looks like he's been knocked over into the Speed Force, but it's not the Speed Force. I mean, last book we had a couple of, the Speed Rays, I think you call them, coming after him. They had kind of the form of a past speedsters, and we find out that it's not the Speed Force, and where he's at is basically a result of his guilt. And if he just let go of his guilt for a second, he would actually see that it's Jesse Quick, and I forget the other guy's name. Anyway, we see that with his mind, he can actually affect the Speed Force and actually possibly get his body back, and that's where we go with Barry inside of the book. On the outside, we have Reverse Flash going to different parts of Barry's family, and he's trying to cement himself as the Flash, and definitely trying to make it so that Barry can't take his body back. That's kind of where we're at right now. Really loving the story. The pace of it was really well done. The artwork, again, really loved it. Some of the panel work, just phenomenal. So in the end of the book, it culminates into Barry making the run for his life. When is he not running for his life? Run for his life to try to get his body back, and Thawne is trying to stay ahead of him to keep that possession in place. Is he going to make it? We don't know. We'll have to read the next month and find out. I'm so on board, but again, I'm sad because I know this is coming to an end. And Joshua Williamson, thank you very much. It's good stuff. So the next book we have Dark Knight's Death Metal number 3, and of course that's DC Comics, written by Scott Snyder and art by Greg Capullo. So we're on issue number 3, and I am so in for this ride. It's been incredible so far. I'm loving it. I'm going to be honest, this book is hard to review just because there's so much going on. We have Harley Quinn and Batman and Wonder Woman coming to the rescue of Superman. We have a Batmanized version of Darkseid using every type of kryptonite in the universe on a machine made by Mr. Miracle, trying to kill the cells that are inside of Kal-El so that eventually the anti-life equation can take over him. We have the Robin King coming on the scene for the first time. I loved him. Little sick, little imp that he is. It was just fun to read some of the dialogue that he came out with. We have the Darkest Knight making his move. We have speedsters running for their lives. I mean, there's so much going on inside of this book, but it's so much fun. It's everything that I've ever wanted from these multiverse crisis events that have been happening. Scott Snyder's playing with all the toys. He's got Easter eggs, he's got callbacks, and he's got things he's doing with it that is just bombastic and fun, and I've just been having so much fun reading it. I know that a lot of people said in the beginning they were very confused by it. Just stay with it. It is so much fun. I know it's going to pay off big time. I don't think it's going to end well, but it's been so much fun so far. It's in your face. It's outrageous. It's funny. but at the same time, it's compelling, and you can't wait to see what's on the next page because our heroes are going to be going through some stuff. And on the last page of this book, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you're a DC fan, you knew this was coming. You knew this was going to have to happen. And so check it out for yourself. Dark Knight's Death Metal #3. It's an amazing time, guys. So on to our next book, and we have Something is Killing the Children, #9 by Boom Studios. This was written by James Tynion IV, or Tynion IV, and art by Werther Deladera. And wow, did I mention it is just an amazing week in comics? Did I mention that it is a great time to be into comic books right now? Something is Killing the Children has been fun from the very beginning. This is one where I got to thank my buddy Bueller for turning me on to it. It wasn't on my pull list in the beginning, and he raved about the first issue so much that I went out and got a second printing of the first issue, and I've been on the title ever since. And I'm so glad that I've been on this ride. It's been a lot of fun. This issue is something that I've been waiting to happen for a long time. We get Erica's origin. We get a lot more insight into the House of Slaughter and how things have evolved to where they are right now. And we have much more insight into what drives Erica. That is great stuff. I mean, really, really phenomenal. It's just something I was hoping to see. I'm not worried about the book going off the rails now that the secret is out. I think it's going to add to it. I think it's going to be so much fun going forward to see how this unfolds. I will echo what Bueller said on his video this week. The children are definitely not safe. There's still some stuff going on there. But, you know, the horror, the blood, the intrigue of it, it's all there. And I've just been loving every minute of it. I won't say anything more because I'll spoil the heck out of this book, so I'm just going to leave it there. But again, I know that's been said many times about a lot of these different books coming out of Boom, but Something is Killing the Children is definitely one of my top picks, and you definitely are going to love this issue. And so now we're on to my pick of the week. And this week's pick is Seven Secrets #1 by Boom Studios. That's right. This one's written by Tom Taylor, art by Daniel Nicolo, and the colors by Walter Biamonte. Wow. Boom is killing it. I think I've said that like 12 times in this video so far, but they're just killing it right now. Here's another title that is just amazing. It's a fun read. You know how much I love Tom Taylor. I think he in the last 2 years has completely stepped it up a notch, and he's writing some phenomenal stuff. So the premise of the story revolves around these 7 secrets that have power. They've changed the course of history. Empires have risen and fallen to try to obtain these secrets. And we find that there's a secret society who's been in charge of making sure that those secrets are safe and they don't get out because they're just that powerful. And even though there's an army of these people in this society, each secret is given 2 handlers to protect it. And the way this is written, the way Tom Taylor did it, is we have the perspective of the offspring, the son of one of these 2 handlers, narrating what the 7 secrets are and how we got to where we are right now. And in the background, we have the images unfolding in history and between his parents and all this stuff, and the back and forth between the way it's being narrated and the way the story is unfolding in the background. It's masterfully done. I had so much fun reading it and following it. I think I've read the book 3 times so far just because I've loved it so much. I've actually read issue #2 already as well. Loving this book. The artwork is phenomenal. Matter of fact, my panel of the week comes from this book. There's some panel work inside of here that is just beautiful. There's parts of it that feel very manga action kind of feel. But other than that, I mean, it takes its own direction. I think it has its own style. I think it lends to the telling of this particular story. So well done. The colors, I've never really been focused on Walter Biamonte before, but I love how the colors play out inside of this, the palettes that he uses to reflect different parts of history, different parts of where the story is at. Very well done. The way like I said, the narration flows, oh my gosh. When you finally get to the end and you finally get to some of the stuff of this family. I was so intrigued, so on board. I can't wait to get the next book. I think this is going to be another one of those titles that we're going to be raving about for the next few months. So definitely, if this was not on your pull list, you need to go out, get to your LCS, pick up a copy of 7 Secrets, because I guarantee you're going to dig it. You're not going to want to miss out on this one. So there it is, folks. That's my pick of the week. I don't think I could have gotten any better on this. There's a couple of books I could have had my pick of the week, but this one just cut above. So there it is, folks. Check it out. So now we get to our panel of the week, and I've already said it. This week's panel of the week comes from 7 Secrets, and this panel just really blew me away. It's a double-page spread, and it kind of looks like they took the actual comic page and turned it on its side. So you get the panels kind of cattywampus, kind of skewed, but the art itself is kind of right perspective, and the action that comes off of it, the lines, the way they flew. I love this page. It kind of plays out more like a splash page. That's okay. I think, like I said, the panel work inside of this is phenomenal. Definitely have been loving this, but when I saw this, I was like, oh man, this is amazing. So there it is. That's my panel of the week. Hope you dig it, folks. 7 Secrets you can't go wrong. So that's the show, folks. Hope you enjoyed the reviews. Thank you very much for tuning in. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you're new to the show and you like what you saw here, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and it goes a long way to help out the show, and I'll be putting out content every week. You guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, having comics with my coffee, right here from the Refuge. Remember to support your local comic shop, and Excelsior. Take care, folks.
I'm gonna rearrange your face if you continue to debate whether Logan's claws could pierce Steve Rogers'